C2. This is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
Welcome to this special edition of Houston Newsmakers, where I guarantee you'll be smiling at the end of this half hour. Starting with Good Reason Houston. What is it? It's a nonprofit organization started in 2018 with the goal of increasing the number of students successfully learning in public schools with equity as a driving force. Take a look at this video from the organization's website.
Houston, our community,
our economy.
Our kids are a good reason.
I'm a good reason. My friends, my sister, my family.
My neighborhood is a good reason.
I think my education is a good reason.
My dreams.
My future is a good reason.
The focus is on the very diverse student population that makes up Houston, which is quite large, diverse, and according to Good Reason Houston, 1 of every 2 students in underperforming schools with low income, Black and Latino students more likely to attend a low-performing school. That's not acceptable to Scott McClelland, president of HEB and also the founding board chair of Good Reason Houston. Good morning, Scott. Good to see you.
Cambrell, it's always good to be with you.
I can remember a time when we talked about a concept that you were putting together that had to do with something like this, and now it's a reality.
Yes.
Talk about the challenging job ahead for this organization, considering the statistics that I briefly talked about and the reality that people are facing as far as education is concerned.
Yeah, I think one of the key things beyond our parents and the home we were born into is what kind of education can you get? It is the great equalizer and allows people to go on to do good things in their life. And so if you look at what's happening in Houston today, 50% of all schools are rated a C, D, or F. And if you're an Hispanic student, you're 4 times more likely to go to a low-performing school. If you're a Black student, 7 times more likely. And as you said, that's just unacceptable. And so Good Reason exists to do one thing: to let every child, regardless of where you what neighborhood you're born into or who your parents are, get a great education. And that's what we're focused on.
So the stats that you talked about, not very good. Poverty influences all of that. That situation has not been a big secret. It's been that way for quite some time. Talk about what your organization is poised to do to make that difference. I know that's what your goal is, but how do you make that happen?
Yeah, so I think you've seen a number of efforts come and go, and a lot of them talk about being transformational. And if I put it in baseball terms, it's like they're trying to swing and hit a home run. The problem is when you try to hit a home run, you strike out a lot. What Good Reason does is looks at tried and true best practices that have been used in other school districts around the country or within the state, and we put together a menu that we go in and help create a strategic plan for school districts to hit a bunch of singles. And you can score a lot of runs, like put the best teachers in the hardest schools. Go through and ensure that your curriculum that you have is the right curriculum. Look at where do we need to add schools? Where do we need to look to close schools? But really help school districts come up with a strategy. But unlike a consultant, we then help with the implementation to make sure that it does work.
That would guess that's a big part of helping to make it come into more balance, if you will, because if you come in with a little piece of paper and say, here's a plan, that it pretty much stops at the door.
That's it.
It seems to me that along with the ideas that come along with what you're talking about, dollars and cents play a big role in well. How do you raise the money that I think it would probably be necessary if I'm gonna guess that there's probably some money that's got to be raised.
You're absolutely right. Investing in kids is probably the most important thing we can do in our state. And it's not an area that the government necessarily has focused on in a big way. And so we've been fortunate in that we've seen local philanthropies and charities sign on, local businesses have, but also from a crowd sourcing or a crowd funding standpoint, as it's been $5, $10, we've raised $30 million. And this can be really a big help to school districts as we go in to help get teachers into the right schools, attract more teachers to come, look to attract national philanthropies to invest. But I think the key message for anybody watching this show is the responsibility to educate our youth is not the schools, it's not mine, it's all of ours, because it really will dictate what's possible for these kids and frankly the kind of economy that we live in going forward. Here's a fact that's amazing, Cambrell. We had to change our reading level on our training materials at HEB from an 8th grade literacy rate to a 5th grade literacy rate, simply because that's what our employees dictated, which isn't to say that they aren't intelligent and they don't try hard. It's just basic fundamentals. You know, up until the 3rd grade, you learn to read. After the 3rd grade, you read to learn. And what's happened through COVID is that the reading competency rate at the 3rd grade level, those kids reading at grade level, has dropped from 37%, which was low, to 27%. We got to turn this around.
Yeah, it's an amazing statistic that dropped just because of COVID. You have personally and professionally really been an advocate for education for as long as I've known you. And for those who, 20 years we've known each other. And when I met you, you were giving money to an organization I was a board chair of for education and other kind of things. Talk about how HEB has the same sort of focus. This kind of aligns with what your company is alignment with as far as education is concerned.
I think if you look at the workforce at HEB, it's super diverse and it looks a lot like our city or like our state. And here's what I know is that the people who work at HEB are good people who work hard and have a ton of potential. And what we look to do is help them be as good as they can be. But oftentimes, given the schooling that they've had, not because schools don't try hard, but because there may not be the right strategy or the right curriculum, they don't enter the workforce with the right level of skills. So last year, for instance, we gave $10 million to public schools throughout the state. Our owner, Charles Budd, has put together a foundation that helps to train principals and superintendents to be better leaders. But I think one of the things we just feel so strongly about is the key to Texas success going forward is the ability to educate every kid, because that helps us attract new types of industry to want to move to our state and to our city, because we have the right kind of workforce.
You and I have been blessed, I think, in our ability to be able to work and be able to live in a good place and send our kids to schools and whatnot. We talked about this before we taped. It's like it's not about our kids' education. It's about other kids who are in circumstances that are less fortunate, less demographically able, socioeconomically able to get ahead, and that kind of plays into the role of us doing what we can to help.
Think about this: that kids who go to Houston area public schools, only 1 in 4 is getting a college degree, 2-year or 4-year, within 6 years of getting out of high school. Yet over 60% of all the new jobs that are being created require a 2-year or 4-year degree. So there's a huge gap there, which says we can either import talent, which we do, or we can give opportunities and possibility for a better life for kids who grew up here. So yeah, when people say, oh, my kid's doing okay, look, it's not just about your kid, it's about every kid. And Kimberly, I don't know about you, but in my life, after my parents, the most influential person in my life was my 4th grade teacher, who forced me to be a good student. And my guess would be you had a similar experience with someone in your life in teaching made a difference. And when you look at coming out of COVID with all the dysfunction and problems that we've had, we really need great teachers doing a good job more than ever.
How can people help your organization?
So here's what's easy to do. Go to our website. As I said, we have some people who give a lot. If folks would give $5, $10, if everybody chips in a little bit, we can continue to build momentum and help to turn this thing around. And for anybody who donates, I will match your donation dollar for dollar personally, any donation that comes in between now and the end of the month.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to check with the wife and see what I can do.
I'd appreciate it.
And I know these folks will do it as well. Your organization has done great things. Scott, always good to see you. I'm going to put the information on our website as well so people can go to the clicktohouston.com page and get that information. Always good. Always good to see you.
Yep. And let's have Houston be the education city. We aren't today, but we can be.
I could not agree more.